I just thought I'd share a few tips using Lightroom to develop raw images, and in particular the develop module within Lightroom, and look at some of the sliders and the things that you can do with those sliders to improve your image. Now, one of the first things that I do when I work on an image in Lightroom is I create a virtual copy. And in order to do this, all I need to do is just right click on the original image and scroll up to where it says virtual copy and click my left mouse button, and this will produce a virtual copy. So now I can work on my virtual copy, and if I mess up, I won't mess up the original image, my original raw image. So looking at the histogram in this panel up here, you can see that it's slightly to the left, so I'm quite dark in my shadow areas. So before I increase the shadow sliders, I'm just going to give my exposure slider probably about plus 25 to 30, which will just lift the image slightly. Okay, so now I'm going to slide down to my shadow slider, and I will probably give this about a plus 30, and that should just lift the shadow area just kind of to give it 29 is not too bad, and I'll just increase the blacks, and I'll probably take the blacks up a fair way, probably to about plus 40, 39 kind of area. Okay, now because I've increased my shadows and my exposure, it's probably quite a good idea to just give your clarity a little tweak, probably about 5 plus 5 plus 7 maybe, and this will just give a little bit more punch to the mid-tones. Now if I slide down, I come to a panel that enables me to control my hue, my saturation and my luminance, and I can control each of these colours on here, so my reds, my oranges, my yellows and my greens, etc. But one of the things that I've learned is I can control an area within the picture by clicking on this icon here, and this will enable me to increase or decrease the saturation just in relation to that area. So Lightroom will pick out which channels or which colours need to be increased or decreased. So I've clicked on this area here, and I'm just going to lift the whites slightly, just increase the saturation. So I click on here, and if I scroll my trackpad up, you can see that I'm increasing the yellow and the green, and I'll probably take these up to around about something like plus 7 maybe. That's looking quite nice. Okay, and then to come out of there, I just click return, and I can do this as many times as I like in sort of various areas of the image, and kind of just affect that particular area without doing the whole of the image. Okay, one of the other things that I think is quite interesting is the sharpening tool within Lightroom. Now, as default, sharpening is usually set around about 25%, so I'm just going to leave the sharpening at 25%, and I'm going to set my radius to about 1.4. And this is the interesting thing. So in terms of my detail and in my sharpening, I can't really see what I'm doing. But if I hold down the Alt key on a Mac and then click on the slider, you can see that I get this grey screen, and I can see some of the detail. So I'm just going to take this detail up to around about 56, 55 kind of area. And in order to see where the sharpening is happening, again, if I click on my Alt key and I click on this masking slider, as I slide the slider across to the right, you can see where the sharpening is taking place. The white is where the sharpening is being affected, and the black is where the sharpening isn't being affected. So in this image, I really want to sharpen the horse and the rider and the foliage towards the front of the image, but I don't really want to sharpen the background. So it's sort of finding a point where I'm getting the best of both worlds, really. So in this particular image, around about 92, 93, maybe 91, That's looking quite good. And I'll leave it there. Now, you can see that there's some improvements to the image already. But a good idea is to come back down to the image bar down here. And if I hold my command key down and click on both of these images, and then come across to here and click where it says 2, I'll get a preview of both images, so the one I've just worked on and the original. So on the right hand side is my original image that I've not edited in any way, and you can see that the facial area is quite dark and the horse's stomach is quite dark, and this kind of area down here is quite dark. And if you look across the image that I've just edited in Lightroom, you can see that I've really lifted the horse, and there's more light in the rider's face, and it just has a lot more pop. Now I can save this image, and then I can take this into Photoshop, and I can just do a little bit of dodging and burning and just tweak the image finally in Photoshop. But I think as a starting point for raw images, Lightroom enables you to do a hell of a lot of processing quite easily and with a great amount of control. So I hope that you've enjoyed that video and you might have picked up a few tips. If you've got any comments, please leave them on my WordPress page, and I'll hopefully be producing some more video techniques in relation to using Photoshop and dodging and burning in the future.